Whatever lies beyond the next horizon, that perfect place that eludes me still. But in my heart, I just knew someday I'd find it. The way is sometimes clear, it can be hard. Winding through the hills to meadows green. Sometimes it's through the deserts, bleak and dry, before we find the valley of our dreams. Every man leaves a trail behind. It reveals the path of life he chose to follow. May the tracks I leave lead all who follow me to a life that's more than what these eyes can see. As I blaze a trail across this hollow ground, may I discover all of life that can be found. Every man leaves a trail. May I leave a path that's true for those who follow. I wanna help them find their way through the dangers to their dreams, to that brand new world that seems just out of reach. But it's just a prayer away, a simple prayer away. All my life I've been looking for whatever lies beyond the next horizon. Now I've learned it's not in the perfect place I'll find, but it's the life I lead and the trails I leave behind. Heaven touch the lives of pilgrims who will find the trails I leave behind. Heaven bless the lives of pilgrims who find the trails we leave behind. The trails we leave behind.
to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name is Tom Dutta. Well, today I'm the Quiet Warrior, and I'm a film producer. I'm pretty excited. We have a special guest on, but I got a few things I want to tell you about. We've been doing a series of these shows called The Way of the Quiet Warrior Real News. That's REEL, no pun intended. And, well, you might have heard that we're creating a feature film, and this is an exciting project that started some 3 years ago. And I'm going to hold it up here. We have the screenplay. This was 3 years in the making, completed. And, well, we're going to announce a big addition to our team today. So it's a pleasure to announce this. And I'm going to announce it on behalf of Josh Menning, who's the award-winning director with Menning Films, which is, our film company. I'm a producer in the film. There's a reason for that, is this is really a film about The Way of the Quiet Warrior, a book that I had authored, and true events and a life story that spans across many people I know in my lifeline. Really excited about it. But, to do something like this, it takes a lot of talent. And I always like to say as a CEO that you need to surround yourself with talented and people a lot smarter than yourself. So I'm going to read to you an announcement from Josh Menning, our director. Film and music easily go hand in hand as a wonderful pair. It's easy for a film to fall flat with great music. And on that note, we are excited to have session and touring musician and vocalist Eddie Anders on board. Eddie has been on an amazing journey, has performed on stage and in the studio with artists like EMMYLOU Harris, Dolly Parton, Steve Lukather, the GAITHER vocal band, Albert Lee, Phil KEAGGY, Percy Sledge, MYLON LEFEVRE, Johnny Rivers, For Him, James Burton, Amy Grant. I mean, the list goes on. I better throw out there Vince Gill, because I grew up listening to his vinyl. What a dude he was. And by the way, for you Canadians out there, if you heard the Pontiac commercials back in the 80s, you might have just heard this guy that we're going to bring on, because that was probably his voice. Eddie has an incredible story and a ministry of his own, and is currently working on a title track for the film. And we're going to welcome Eddie aboard. We're glad to have him part of the film. And his role in the film is singer, songwriter, music producer, and he will be producing the original song. And just a little cheating here, I've heard it and it blew my mind. So we're going to bring Eddie on, and we're going to talk all about creating that song. So just stand by while I bring Eddie onto the screen. Eddie, welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show, Real News.
Thanks, Tom. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invite. I have to say, your opening music, your bumper music, doesn't sound like a Quiet Warrior. I was playing air guitar during the whole thing. It's remarkable.
Yeah, thank you. The audience didn't see you, but man, you had some moves there. So Eddie, let's get into it. I mean, we built you up a bit. There's such great depth behind your talent. You are a very humble man, and I've been blessed to be behind the scenes, collaborating, just checking out some of the things you're doing. I want you to pretend our audience know nothing about music. How do you create a title track and a song for a film like this? Just take it into that journey you've been on.
Well, first knowing you, having met you, and then reading your book, and so and aware of a lot of your journey. So what you try to do, when I first began, I started with the lyrics for this, and tried to include things that were present in your book, and then as I would send them to you, of course, back and forth we would go, tweaking, improving. And then when I started putting music to it and trying to find that feeling of the ebb and flow of the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and a bit of depression and a bit of overcoming and all the stuff that we needed to move through, it's hard to tell a life story in a 4-minute song, but we've come pretty close, and you try to put together all the elements that capture the story. It's just not some add-on song. Sometimes it's great to have just classic tunes in a movie, but when you're writing something that's has the content that you want to communicate, it becomes special. So we took a lot of prayerful shots at it, and I think we've turned out, you know, something really good. And I think as we go on, like you and I've talked, part of my process most of the time before I even ever record a song is that I'll write it, rehearse it, keep working it, record a basic track to it, and then end up doing it when I'll drop it in the concert set list so that I'm able to see what kind of response you get from a room full of people. So that's about to happen in the next few days. So that's kind of the process.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I'm gonna build you up a little bit more, everybody. Eddie, we're gonna add a video, Eddie, to the final production of this, which has a long lineup of shots of some of the people you've worked with. And while your list goes on, I'm always admiring people who get into this industry. Tell us what drove you into this. Why did you become a singer-songwriter?
Well, in high school, I fell in love. I loved being in. I was in nationally competitive high school band programs. We competed on a national level, won national championship in Bradenton, Florida, for this high school I was involved in, and I played percussion during marching season, drummer, and then during concert season, I was French horn, and all-state band, all that stuff, and I got really into the idea of being involved as a French horn player and wanted to conduct an orchestra someday. That being said, one year at Appalachian State, when I was there spending the summer in a really great music school for the summer, that's when I was introduced to the music of Chicago. And all of a sudden, my emphasis changed, you know, and I picked up a bass and started playing with these guys, and I just fell in love with that band. And they all know, we've become friends over the years, that they were what propelled me into a music career. I decided right then that I was going to singer, songwriter, and be in a band. So that's what I wanted to do. And I began that process. And then just a couple of years later, there was a Christian artist by the name of Andre Crouch that absolutely, he and his group just took me in as a friend, as a kid. And I loved their music. It was the beginning of what is known as contemporary Christian music. So, and a crowd of 100,000 people in Dallas in 1972, Andre just walked out and completely captured the whole place. So I decided, you know, that I was going to be a communicator, and I was going to use music as a tool. So that's how it all came about. And ever since then, it's just been, I've been incredibly blessed, because most people, they become a quartet singer, a Southern gospel, or a country guy, or a jazz guy, or a classical guy. I've been blessed with this eclectic combination of people that I've been able to be on the road with, or be in the studio with, or perform, you know, here and there, have opportunities to perform with a lot of my heroes. And it stretches across every musical genre you can imagine. So it's been fun.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. I remember when we first met, and I should just let the audience know that Eddie and I each wrote our books, and we met down in Nashville, right? It was in a hotel room.
Yep.
I still tell the story, and it's like yesterday. Here I walk in this room, and there's a bunch of tables everywhere. It was a red carpet reveal for our books. We were interviewed, and this was in July 17. And I'm walking in there, and there's a table with a guy sitting at it, and he looks a little rock starish, and he dark suit, and I sat down, and it was Eddie. I didn't know really a lot about you, Eddie, and you gave me your book, and you gave me your CD, and you know, when I heard you talk about your story, I was blown away. And then I came back, and you know, I think we did a radio show where you came on my show and talked about your story. Everybody, you should go back and check that out on the Quiet Warrior show in the archives. That's a pretty epic interview Eddie did. Your book that you wrote was called Waking Up Dead, and there was another thing I learned about, which was this amazing place that was part of your life called the Heart and Soul Cafe. I started checking your out online Instagram. I started seeing these wicked pictures. A little teaser for the our audience. We are going to be factoring into the screenplay a surprise that might just have a little bit of that history from Eddie's Heart and Soul Cafe. But Eddie, tell us about whatever you want about those the Heart and Soul Cafe, and then certainly your book.
Well, years on the road, I love places like the Hard Rock Cafe. I've been to the original one in London and all over the place. All these. I love that. I love Cracker Barrel. I love so many great places, and somewhere along the way, the idea got planted in my head, and I had this vision for a family entertainment venue, which was a cross between something Disney would do, Hard Rock Cafe, and Cracker Barrel, with a stage in it. So we built a 10,000 square foot restaurant cafe with all the buzzers and whistles, and very eclectic, as far as the music we would present and the memorabilia on the wall. And I had people from all over the country, and some of it you see behind me here in my office. So it went quite well. In fact, all during the 90s, 3 years in a row, we were voted the best restaurant, overall restaurant in the Smoky Mountain region, and then won some specific awards like desserts or this or that. So yeah, it was great. Sadly, it came to an end after 5 years because of a really, really ugly partnership struggle. And we won't get into that here. There's not time, but it's in the book.
Yeah. The Waking Up Dead, everybody, is a book. I know I would hold it up, but I'll put it in the final show, and I'd like everybody to get it and read it, do a review. That's how we get Eddie's story known. His story is really a reason why I connected to him, because years later there was a thread in my story that evolved, and I remember I needed a mentor. I needed somebody sort of to walk with me, and I reached out, and I happened to say, oh, by the way, we have this film we're doing, and it was a match made in heaven. One of the things I was thinking about too, Eddie, is I don't know if the audience would know what I don't know how to ask this, but what are the instruments you actually know how to play besides the French horn?
Well, it's been principally, a lot of road gigs and studio sessions. I was a vocalist, a background vocalist, and would do a lot of the arranging and stuff. Next, principally now, people know me as a keyboard guy, and I do my strength is really the auxiliary stuff, the strings, the synth stuff, and all that. But I play piano a lot, and then bass guitar. And I've been surrounded by such amazing guitar players in my entire life. It's like I don't lay claim to that, but every now and then I'll pick one up, But I've worked with probably, well, there's no question, the best guitar players on earth I've had the opportunity to play with. So I don't aspire to that, because it's like that would be frustrating. Haven't been around all the guys I've played with. So, but it's mainly principally keyboards now and the vocal stuff. And I get in the studio, I'll play bass on stuff or whatever. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I was pinching myself. We were on a call the other day with you and another fellow that we're going to be introducing very soon, who's working on the musical score, and you two will collaborate. And I think I said something like David and Goliath. I bring the story. I have a completely different background, but everybody to be around greats like this and the talent, it's pretty incredible for me. I'm learning a lot. One of the things I did learn, Eddie, was when you wrote the lyrics. This is a film that hasn't been produced yet. All you did was read the screenplay. Right. You have to actually, I think I remember saying to you, make this your song and get it into your soul, because I'm pretty picky, and if I listen to something and it hits my soul, then I know it's it. When do you know when you do something like this? When do you sort of go, after hours and hours of banging this down, I think we're there? Anything that happens?
Well, a song like the one we're talking about, and I don't think I've even told you this, but there were times when I was just rehearsing, singing this, trying to find the melody, and when it finally began to evolve to reality, that's what's really cool about songwriting and creating music, just like a lot of other things that creative artists do. But, what's cool is today, something exists in the form of a song and a produced item that didn't exist in any form 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it's really cool to go through that process. But what I didn't tell you is that there were a couple of moments where I got teary-eyed and goosebumps just at the prospect of what we were communicating. And that's when you begin to know, I never want to become cold and calculated and formula driven when it comes to songwriting. And even the songs I perform of any genre, whether it's Christian music or whatever I'm doing, I don't really like to perform them unless it's something that I can embrace in my soul. So that unless I've lived it, felt it, believe it. So that's what happened. And the key to this song, as I was working on the lyrics, was the day that you told me via email. I sent you some sample lyrics and stuff, and I was trying to really write something that you would feel good about. And then you returned that email saying the best thing you could do is to make this your song, because our stories in so many ways are so similar. And I think that's what really, I basically just kind of brushed everything off the desk, so to speak, and started all over. And I included some of the stuff that was there initially, but all of a sudden it began to grow wings. And that your encouragement with that is what I think made the difference, because it really did come from my heart and soul, no pun intended.
Yeah, I remember that moment for sure. And then I remember I was saying to Anna here, my wife, that when I put you sent it by a Dropbox, everybody, we exchanged the song by Dropbox. If you know what that is, it's an online tool, and it appeared on my screen as a pictograph, and it went up and down like that. And that's exactly what my vision was for any song for this movie. And I remember saying to the Josh and John, who's another producer in this, that one of the films that stood out for me was Elton John's, where it was the highest of highs, lowest of lows. When they interviewed Elton, they asked him, he said, I was really pleased how this went, because he said, we wanted it to be that roller coaster of emotion. Oh. I learned that in my TED Talk when I did it last year, Eddie, that people can't handle a lot of stress. So if you have them on the edge of their seat with emotion, you want to give them a chance to go back and breathe, smile, breathe, so that they can receive more. Actually, that's beautiful. You've done amazing work on the song. There's some fine tuning that you're doing. Everybody, we can't share the song with you. It's called The Way of the Quiet Warrior. It's the title track for the film. And there'll be some funky things that Eddie will be doing in terms of integrating it into the film. Eddie, as we go to wrap up here, I want to just ask you to hold up Goofy. Is he still there with you?
Of course he is. There he is. Well,
all right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie's got a lot of paraphernalia off. Now, the reason why I asked you to hold that up was for a memory jogger. That, by the way, everybody, Eddie's very humble. When you hear his music, check him out online. You'll go see a lot of his stuff. Start getting to know him. But Eddie, when you showed me that, I thought about an email that you had sent me from tell me if I'm wrong, Executive Vice President of Disney Entertainment. He's a professor at the university, but that was his role. And he's no longer that. He's a alumni or whatever. But he wrote this review, and I remember I looked at it, and what did he say about a song you created? Tell us the name of that song.
The Trails We Leave Behind. And he teaches at the University of Central Florida now in basically a hospitality training school that turns out a lot of folks that work at the various theme parks, hotels, that kind of business. And so he's now one of the professors there. And he is a Disney legend. Anybody that knows Disney will know what a Disney legend is. He's one of the people that really made a huge impact in that company. Executive Vice President of the Walt Disney Company, but his role was for any live entertainment in any of the parks, wherever, Broadway shows, cruise lines, everything. If it was live, Ron was producing it essentially, with a cast of thousands, of course. But he's the guy that put Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. I've seen the note. He had a little one of those little post-it notes from Eisner that Eisner just handed to him in the hallway one day. He says, "Let's put Beauty and the Beast on Broadway." So there you go. That's who Ron Logan is, and he's over the years has become a dear friend. And when he wrote that, he wrote this. And people, if they go to my website, they'll see it in the they'll see it in my career profile and stuff. What Ron had to say, but you know, when you do what we do. And probably with everybody, it doesn't matter what you do. We all got critics, you know, we've all got people, we've all got pain and hurt and scars from people that have said things and hurt us in different ways and even discouraged us, or you know, tell you all the ways you can't do what you think you're supposed to be doing. And when Ron gave me that endorsement back in 2005, 2007, somewhere right in there, it dissolved every painful thing anybody ever said to me, because Disney's been such a huge part of my life. My son works for the Disney company, has for years. And in fact, I was working one of my goals was to have our cafe at downtown Disney in Orlando. And I had people that were working with me trying to help make that happen when it came to a crashing halt because of the partnership deal. So anyway, and Goofy's my favorite guy because, and I have Goofy and Disney stuff around me a lot because Goofy reminds me, Goofy's always the same no matter what situation he's in. You know, it's just really cool. He's just kind of that going guy, you know, and he's just always goofy no matter what. And that's when I see Goofy, it reminds me, okay, don't react, don't, just chill. It's okay. Because most of the time, the things that we worry about are the things that feel like they're going to kill us 2 days later. They're fine. So Goofy helps remind me of that stuff.
That's awesome. I can see on the back wall there's something that says "Keep calm and carry on." It's exactly what you just taught us there. It's a teaching moment, everybody. I encourage you to go to eddieanders.org. It's scrolling across the screen, and you'll be able to see Eddie's body of work. And Eddie's humble, but the fellow I just mentioned from Disney, he gave glowing review for the work Eddie did. Eddie, I'll just tell you that the thing that amazed me about you and many creators, but particularly you, is how you can actually to take a screenplay and then just come up with words. It just blew my mind. You have a real gift there, man. So I think we have about 30 seconds before I move to wrap up here. You get to have the last word. Maybe tell us what it means to be involved in the Way of the Quiet Warrior film.
Well, this is just another great opportunity, which I'm very thankful that you've invited me to be a part of your team and make a contribution to this. I love your emphasis and you're helping people all around the world, coaching and personal life coaching. And so, and again, here's another experience. I've written for a lot of things and played with a lot of people and done a lot of recording as a studio session guy, but and I've even scored projects, industrial projects, videos for campaigns. I mean, all kinds of stuff that I've been able to do, but I've never been involved in a feature film. And I just love the opportunity and I'm grateful for it. And I want to make the best of the moment. And here's just another thing on the things that I've been blessed and able to do. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we met up the way we did. And I'm glad that we've maintained friendship and communication. And now here we are. I can't wait for the day that I get on a plane and come to British Columbia.
Yeah, eh? You're going to have to
make this
you're going to have to put a few A's in the song there, eh?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll wrap up on this. For everybody, we are talking to Eddie Anders, who is now the music producer and songwriter for the title track for the Way of the Quiet Warrior movie. We'll be bringing a little of his lifeline to life again in that film, and you'll be hearing a lot more from Eddie. So everybody go and see his website, eddieanders.org. Check out some of his music. And Eddie, thanks. It's just a blessing to have you on the team, man, and we're looking forward to the journey.
Thanks, Tom. Feelings mutual. Thank you.
All right. Everyone, find that true passion like you hear from Eddie. Live that life with purpose and live the life that you deserve and desire.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca